All right, that's good to know. Guys, we're gonna start on a fun thing. Now, I've waxed poetic several times before about how Dead by Daylight is a very every time I play it, I haven't played it too much, but every time I play it, whether I'm the killer or the survivor, I always complain, and I've only played it a handful of times, but I always complain about, man, this game feels really, really unbalanced. And it looks like I'm not alone in this comparison. Obviously, I know I'm not alone because anytime I look on Twitter or something, I have a lot of friends who play Dead by Daylight. And the most common post from anyone who plays Dead by Daylight is them yelling about how the game is unbalanced. However, this is something I've seen since the beginning of Dead by Daylight. Like, I've been around gaming for a really long time. And I've been around, content creation for, I mean, honestly, a decent long time now. Literally almost 5 years. We're about a couple of weeks away from hitting the 5-year anniversary of the stream, which is pretty cool. And in that time, one commonality has stayed. People who play Dead by Daylight hate the balance of Dead by Daylight. And it's like a universal thing. It's not like, League of Legends where you're like, there's 169 champions or whatever, and it's kind of really hard to balance them all and to balance every single item and everything like that. And sometimes we have metas where the balance is worse, and sometimes, a lot of times, we have balance which is a little bit better. But this is a game where this is not the case. Dead by Daylight is frankly, I'm just going to say it, a much simpler game. And I'm sorry, you guys might hate me for this, but it is not that complicated of a game. I'm sorry, it really is not. Dead by Daylight is not a complicated game. Compared to League of Legends, compared to World of Warcraft, compared to Escape from Tarkov, compared to, like, all of these other really competitive games. And we're about to look into the untold story of the worst balanced game ever. And obviously, as you can tell from the thumbnail, this is about Dead by Daylight. So let's see. Actually, we'll start with this. Darkshade says, everything in Dead by Daylight was designed without considering the fun of the enemy it's being used on. That's why I stopped playing. Yeah, and there's certain characters in League of Legends that are like that, Darkshade. And guess what? Everyone hates those characters. For Dead by Daylight, this is why most people who hate Dead by Daylight, play Dead by Daylight, hate Dead by Daylight. Exactly. Yeah, that's completely agreed. Yes, exactly.
In the vast universe of gaming, plenty of franchises have been declared imbalanced, rightfully so or not. But with all the hate that these games receive, there can only be one that sits
Overwatch.
Salt and be crowned.
I forgot. Yeah, Overwatch is an also extremely imbalanced game. And it only got worse when they decided to completely change the game for Overwatch 2 by taking out an entire role. So it's just like now instead of having 6 characters, you have 5. So now the balance makes more of a difference when you have fewer players. Yeah, exactly.
In this video, we're not just exploring a game, we're exploring a phenomenon, an aberration, a creation that, intentionally or not, might never be balanced. This is the untold story of Dead by Daylight. Games like League of Legends, Dota, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, and many others have all faced balancing challenges in the past. Certain characters, items, or other mechanics can be wildly overtuned and create a horrible environment.
Yep, this is the world's most normal Darius player. Yeah, this makes total sense, actually. I love this. They have heal cut on DPS like basic attacks in Overwatch now? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that they screwed over healers.
For anyone playing against it. However, the one thing all of these games have going for them is that the players are all using the same fundamental rules. Dota, for example, pits 2 teams against each other in a race to see who can destroy the opponent's
and everything's imbalanced in Dota, which
both
is kind of a balance.
Kill other players, destroy towers, complete side objectives, and push down similar-looking lanes.
Right.
Even though your heroes and roles might be
good
different,
old MOBAs,
the goal and main gameplay mechanics remain the same for everyone. This is called soft asymmetry. Strong asymmetric games are like Left 4 Dead, where one side is a group of humans shooting their way through hordes of zombies to reach a safe zone, while the opposing side is a group of zombies with unique powers that are hell-bent on stopping the humans
Right.
from reaching said safe zone. In
Correct.
Dead by Daylight, you can either assume the role of a single killer or one of the 4 survivors. As a killer, your goal is to kill and hook every single survivor in the game. As a survivor, your goal is to survive by completing all 5 generators and escaping through the exit gates, or being the last survivor alive and escaping through the hatch. This asymmetry
The Helldivers music is trying to make the you know the other problem, dude. I'm just gonna say, the gameplay of Dead by Daylight is also extremely simplistic. Like, dude, I compare the asymmetry of Dead by Daylight to other asymmetrical horror games, and the big problem that I see, and I don't know if he's gonna get in this. We'll definitely like look into it. But one of the big problems that I see is that other asymmetrical horror games, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead, I forgot what the name was. I think it was just called Evil Dead something or other. I don't remember. And so on and so forth. Those games, the survivors have something to do except just be a knife pinata for whatever, whatever psychopath plays a killer, and oh god, yeah, like, for example, in Evil Dead Rise, Evil Dead Rise is the movie. In the Evil Dead game, all of the survivors pick up loot. They pick up swords and guns and blah blah blah. And all of the zombies that like the enemy guy is doing, he's like, sending waves of enemies. He's like trying to, take over a survivor for a limited period of time. He has his own gimmicks, but all the survivors have their own special skills. They have, they're able to fight the zombies that are going after them. They're able to have some kind of onus on the game. And in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can pick up a knife on the ground and like literally just stab one of the killers or whatever. And so like it's balanced that way. And they have their problems of balancing as well, but it feels less stark. In the short time that I played, and I actually not that short of a time. I think I played about, what is it, like 60, 70 hours, guys, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I actually enjoyed playing Survivor more than Killer. I felt like I had so much onus on the game and such an ability to really affect the game as a survivor in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really liked it a lot. Like, a lot. And whereas in Dead by Daylight, as a survivor, you have your little flashlight, which can blind people. And that's like extremely limited use. You have the ability to run away, and it's like a glorified game of tag. And then you have like the little pallets you can like shove behind you, and that's it. And all the killers are faster than you unless you have like a broken set of perks. And everyone uses the broken set of perks to either win the game of tag, and if you don't have the broken set of perks, you lose the game of tag. And most likely, it is like 9,000% chance that you're not going to have the broken set of perks unless you're playing fully Giga Meta. And if you don't, the killer is just going to catch you and kill you. And this is at the lower ELO, and I'm at the lowest ELO because I barely play the game. This is a problem that I have when a lot of my friends who play like Good Vibes here has played 1,800 hours. We're going to be discussing your game, my friend. And welcome. I hope you're having a great night. No matter if they're like Good Vibes here has 1,800 hours, or if it's me who has a grand total of what, like maybe 25 hours, and like 20 of them were spent completely, just out of it. And we're just vibing with chat and everything like that. So I wasn't really paying attention too much. So my lack of experience, it's just it's a complete similarity. Both players, whether at the highest level or the lowest level, they're like, yeah, this game is completely imbalanced. That's a problem. That's really bad. That is not good balancing right there. You quit years ago. Why'd you quit, Good Vibes? It might have really good bearing to this conversation, because we're talking about how unbalanced this game is. And so yeah, the other thing is that when you're a killer, in order to be considered a good killer in this game, you have to not do everything to kill the person. You have to not tunnel. Everyone gets, angry at killers for tunneling. All you were really allowed to do is hit someone once, knock them on the ground, put them on a hook, and then search for someone else to do it. And that is the only way to give like non-completely giga hard meta survivors a chance to escape, because killers are completely overpowered in every single way. Why? Because survivors have no ability to really affect the game.
Creates an interesting challenge.
Right.
As the survivors are incentivized to avoid the killer at all costs and just do generators,
right.
the killer is instead incentivized to find as many survivors as possible
and
to prevent them from doing generators and eventually kill them. Now,
right.
it wouldn't be very fun if survivors would die as soon as they're found. So
Correct.
there are various mechanics that are included with the survivor kit that allows them to interact with the killer without immediately dying. Survivors can run away from the killer using pallets and windows to make as much distance as possible between the two. If you are
also
ever
drop
caught,
downs,
other survivors can unhook you.
That little yellow paint thing that showed a little drop down. That's how I dodged a lot of killers. Also, like, you know, just using the jankiness of the control, being able to like wiggle back and forth, and like, you know, basically making a character that's playing a killer just completely whiff their attack, and then you just, you know, run away. Like those are the only things you can do as a survivor. There's pretty much. Am I wrong on this? Is there anything else? I mean, I do have a lack of experience, but that's like literally it. Yeah, the 360s. Exactly. Felt so dope. That's true, but that's like the only thing that survivors have. Yeah, exactly.
Heal you, or even stun the killer to prevent you from being put on the hook in the first place. If the last half of the survivor section sounded way more entertaining than do generators, congratulations, you just found the fatal flaw in Dead by Daylight's game design.
There we go.
As a quick reminder and recap for this section, killers win by killing 3 or more survivors. Survivors win by surviving. Survivors only win if they do generators and escape. And the most interesting and engaging part of the game for survivors is being chased by the killer. This is also usually the most engaging part of playing killer as well.
Correct.
Using your unique power to outsmart the survivors and eventually catch them. So now, after we all understand how...
Which is really not hard. Like, dude, one killer can literally put traps on the ground and put it right in front of the generators, right in front of the pallets. The trapper guy. He's like the first killer you get access to. And, I mean, if you know how to place your traps, like, I didn't know the map, so it was a little difficult for me. But if I spent 20 hours learning every single map, which I don't want to do because the game is honestly kind of fucking boring. But if I did, I mean, shit, man. What does Survivor have to do with that? I was completely inexperienced as playing a trapper, and I just put the traps in front of pallets, in front of generators, in front of, like, you know, high egress areas, things that made sense, the windows, and I was catching people left and right. Like, I literally had to make sure I don't overhook people, because if I did, people would rage. And I understand that because I've played a lot more Survivor than I played Killer, and that shit's annoying. But that shows how unbalanced the game is. Me being like a you know, 10-hour Andy up to that point before I first played Trapper, this is how I had to actually screw over myself as a killer in order to not just hard giga win the game. Like, it's like remember Naruto, where Rock Lee is like fighting Gaara, and he's like wearing like weights that when he drops them, like, you know, just hits the ground and makes like just like a gigantic earthquake and everything. That's what it felt like. Like, I was wearing those weights, and I was doing it on purpose, and it's like the balance of the game. That's not balanced. Like, that, I'm sorry. And that is the basic killer. Every other killer besides that one essentially is stronger in some way. Chucky, he's small, you can barely see him. So he already has like a competitive advantage just by virtue of the... Dude, I remember I played against a Chucky, and I didn't even know where he was, because he's like a little small little robot. And I'm like, what the hell? Where the fuck is this guy? I could run away from him. You know, what's it called? The guy from Resident Evil, the villain from Resident Evil. I can't remember his name. The human guy that's like always messing with Chris Redfield. Fuck, I can't remember. I play a lot of Resident Evil. I just can't remember his name for whatever reason. That guy, he has like a giant charge ability. He has like tentacles coming out of his asshole and everything like that. The alien can transform. Wesker, thank you. Yeah, Wesker. The alien can transform and like gains a whole bunch of movement speed. There's one guy. Oh my god, this was so funny. It was in the suburbs map, and I was playing against this guy. I was Survivor, and the killer. I honestly, I've played so many. I'm describing so many Dead by Daylight games. I probably played more like 50 hours, and I just don't even realize it. Like it just goes by in a flash because it all felt like the same thing. And this guy, the killer, was zooming across the map at like 500 miles an hour. And the counterplay to it was like you have to basically do like quick turn circles around him, and then he'll just like run past you. But if you're not able to do that, if the map is like the suburb map, it was kind of hard to do that. If you're not able to do that, there's no way to outrun him. You're just gonna die. Like what is this balance, man? What is this balance? Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Almost Anya. Wesker's ability is regularly grab you when you're standing on the other side of the vault. There you go. Exactly. Yeah, Demogorgon. Yep, Demogorgon has the portals. And the Demogorgon portals, like, I didn't know where to place them. But if I spent 10 hours learning how to place them, even though I didn't know where to place them, I was still catching people like crazy. And I'm like, what? Dude, I'm not good at this game. I shouldn't be able to catch people this easily. Blight, best speedy boy. Okay, his name is Blight. Yeah, I don't know the name. Exactly. And Werewolf, we miss you. It's so great to see you. Almost Anya, welcome. Dark Feather, it's good to see you. Almost Anya, it's been a while. Welcome back to the stream. We're doing a lot of chatting tonight. So join on in this lovely conversation about how Dead by Daylight is apparently the worst balanced game ever. This is going to be fun.
How Dead by Daylight plays. Let's look through its history of balance and see the creative ways the players have found to not play the game. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Oh yeah, I think.
Besides being something
I heard that
on
one.
Modern Warfare 2 loading screen, that quote is actually Newton's third law and pretty aptly describes how early Dead by Daylight was. In 2016, when the game first released, it was without a doubt the most broken version of Dead by Daylight.
Right.
In this version, survivors had access to something that we can only call infinites. These were sections of the map that were so imbalanced you could run a killer there infinitely. No matter how good a killer was, all a survivor had to do was run the route correctly, and the killer would have absolutely zero chance of ever catching them. Killers who didn't know and therefore would never break off chase would often get frustrated that they could never catch the survivors, meanwhile all the generators are being done around them. And
so it started off as completely imbalanced, but in the opposite way? And is that why they made... Okay, hold on. So there's a gimmick in League of Legends, and this is called getting rioted. This is what I call getting rioted. This is what a lot of the members of the community call getting rioted. I mean, if you want to, Sniper, I don't know. What getting rioted is, you have a character, right? Say Udyr. Okay, Udyr had this happen to him a bit ago, and this was when Udyr's rework first came out. And when Udyr's rework first came out, they buffed up his Q. And they buffed up his Q by buffing the ratio and the base damage. And it does percentage max health damage on his Q. Now, what people realized very, very quickly, and I told everyone this was going to be broken, no one listened to me, especially not Riot Games. When you have percentage health, max health damage that has an AD scaling, and really high base damage, anytime you have this kind of mechanic, and you have something called lethality in the game, if you combine those two things, you will literally one-shot someone with no counterplay. And it's just going to happen. Like, this is an imbalance of the numbers. And so this was a broken thing. Everyone knew it was broken. So people started playing. This is for all you League players out there. Full attack damage Udyr with all lethality items, extremely fast movement speed, and no matter how much... No matter how much armor someone had, you press double Q and you're going to one-shot whoever it is and then run away scot-free. That was the entire gameplay. So what Riot Games did was they nerfed all of the damage on his Q. And they nerfed it, like, pretty heavily. So they did that, which is fine. And then they nerfed all of the lethality items as well. So instead of having a balanced character that is balanced around one ability, they nerf the ability and the item. So they nerf both sides of the interaction, which makes that ability, the Q damage, immediately unusable in every single way, shape, and form. So there's no point in ever going it. This is called getting rioted. So it looks like this is what happened here. They nerfed this infinite thing, and then they also giga buff killers. Am I foreseeing this correctly, guys? I don't know, but like this is what I'm assuming happened. But that's what getting rioted is, and it's when you where you nerf the interaction and you nerf the actual reasoning as well, kind of back and forth. Okay, we'll see.
So, if you think you're never going to be able
I
to
don't know
catch
the
that
history of this
survivor
game too
again
well.
once you finally got them on the hook, are you ever going to let them go? The answer for some
Right.
killers is
Exactly
no. In
so.
2016, there was no penalty for camping hooks in Dead by Daylight. So more
Right.
often than not, you would have a trapper place a trap right underneath the hooked player and stare directly at them for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to do this. Like, as a trapper, like when I played the trapper game, this is exactly what I had to stop myself from doing. And I know I would have won the game, and every game I played as trapper if I did exactly this or something similar. You know, just put like a ring of traps around the survivor and just stand there and just wait. You wanna waste your time? Go for it, man. That kind of thing. And I had to stop myself from doing that. Or, you know, basically the other thing that I don't know if there's any counterplay to in Dead by Daylight is cutting people down and not hooking them and basically making them crawl. And if everyone crawls, there's no way to get out, kind of thing, right? I don't know. Like it looks like I remember when a killer did that to me in a game, and we were just crawling around like idiots, and then we lost the game. But yeah, that felt like disgustingly bad. And the guy was able to do that in like the first few minutes of the game. And we're all just like, all right, well, this game's done.
Minutes, waiting until they finally died. There was next to nothing any other survivor could do,
right.
So getting caught often meant getting killed. And
Exactly.
while nice survivors avoided the infinites, and nice killers avoided face camping other survivors,
but
if
each
at the end
side
of the day,
had
all
to
you
be
wanted
nice.
to do was win, there was no penalty
because
for
the game is
either
imbalanced.
of these mechanics. Later that year, as the game was still in quite a broken state, Behavior would release a DLC for the game which added a new killer, the Nurse. If infinites and permanently looping killers was the action, the Nurse was the reaction. She has, ever since her release, always been one of the top 2 killers in the entire game. And 8 years later, after numerous nerfs, she's still number 1.
Starting, of course, with the Queen of Dead by Daylight,
yep.
the Nurse. So the Nurse has been the strongest killer in the game for a long time. And
I don't know if I've ever won a game as survivor against the Nurse. I don't think I've ever won one. Now, granted, you know, I'm early, but also like with my ELO, I'm facing killers that are also, you know, early game as well. And with that, I don't think I've ever won a single match against Nurse. Like ever as a survivor. And Neon Knight, welcome, buddy. It's good to see you. We're having lots of fun discussions. Join on in.
Looks of it, it looks like she will continue to be number 1 for a very long time.
Her killer power allows her to blink through walls, ceilings, pallets, windows, ignoring just about every mechanic in the game that would allow survivors to escape. The perfect reaction to survivors that would run the killers around for as long as they wanted.
Right.
If you thought infinites and camping hooks was the worst problem at this time, think again. Hatches in old Dead by Daylight couldn't be closed by killers. There also was no endgame collapse yet, which is essentially a timer that will automatically end the game and prevent standoffs like this. So what would end up happening is the killer would find the hatch and wait for the survivor there.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of old Warsong Gulch in World of Warcraft. Now, I'm a big WoW player. So basically, if 2 teams were strong enough in Warsong Gulch was essentially like capture the flag, and you had to capture up to 3 flags, and in order to capture the flag, you had to have the enemy flag and your flag had to be returned to base. So, and there was at the time, for the entirety of, what is it, like 5 years in a row or something, there was no mechanic added into the game that like lowered the durability of the flag carrier. So what would happen was you would put the flag on your tankiest / most mobile character, a lot of times a druid, and they would be able to escape any attack, and, you know, they're tanky enough to not die, or they would have a pocket healer healing them up, and the other rest of the teams, every other character on the field on both sides would just be killing each other for hours and hours and hours, and the game would never end. Ever, unless someone like Giga misplayed. But you had to rely on a Giga misplay, and then you had like 3-hour Warsong Gulches. It was, oh my god, it was so insane. So this reminds me of this kind of stalemate. Oh my god. Holy
to escape
shit.
through the hatch, the killer could grab them and instantly throw them over their shoulders so that they could go hook them. However, if killers hit survivors, there's a small cooldown on their attack, and the survivor's hitbox is disabled, meaning the survivor could run through the killer and escape through the hatch without the killer being able to do anything. Because of this, you would have famously long standoffs, some being hours long, where both the survivor and the killer refuse to do anything else with their life except win a game of Dead by Daylight.
Theoretically, there's nothing I can do.
Dude, people have done this in any game where there's an infinite standoff. Like there's a reason why in chess it's called a stalemate. It just ends the game. It's just like, all right, both of y'all got into this position, both y'all lose, essentially. Like everyone loses, no one's allowed to have a real win here, and it just ends the game. Warsong Gulch fixed this by basically adding a scaling debuff on a character. If you're holding the flag for a certain amount of time, essentially you're gonna get like massively less armor and max health and this and that. So at some point the flag carrier is gonna die. Like you could breathe on the guy at the end and it's gonna die. And so like that's how they solved that. Every single game needs a way to break a stalemate. Every single game. If there is not, like, even in League of Legends, if no one on the map is doing anything in League of Legends, I think it's blue side that will win. Like, just the creeps will just end up auto pushing to the point that at some point, if you turn on a practice game of League of Legends and just sit there for like 5 hours, one side will win. One side will win, even in that. Give a few minutes for the meme, and then I'm out. Don't love any game enough for that. Yeah, exactly, Raspberry. But honestly, dude, like, a lot of players are like this, where they will do the infinite stalemate. I remember Warsong Gulch, man. This happened so many matches to the point I stopped playing Warsong Gulch. And I love PvP. I loved early World of Warcraft PvP like crazy. But yeah, this is exactly what happened there. Yeah.
At this point, I'm just wasting her time while I eat.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Full bottles, I know. All right, guys, I'll be back in a few.
Oh my god, he's gonna go take a shit. By the time he comes back, she still hasn't moved. Oh my god. Yeah, now Warsong Gulch even has a 15-minute timer. Correct, Aku.
Guess what, bitch? I got a controller for your ass!
Oh my god!
Back in the wild, wild west of Dead by Daylight, the hatch wasn't just available to
That's
the lone
so
survivor
funny.
left. It would actually be revealed once enough generators were done. If 4 survivors were alive, you needed all 5 generators to be completed before it was revealed.
Okay,
if
I never
3
knew
survivors
this.
were alive, you needed 4, and on and on. However, this merely revealed the hatch. Actually unlocking it required a key, an item that survivors can find around the map or bring with them at the beginning of the game, and upon interacting with...
This era is when my friend first got me Dead by Daylight. I remember this mechanic. And it was... I had no idea what to do, and so I quit the game. Oh my god, the amount of times I've downloaded Dead by Daylight, played like 2 matches, and quit the game is innumerable. It's literally a higher number than Dark Souls before I finally finished my first Dark Souls game, which is Dark Souls 2. And the amount of times I quit that game was like fucking 10 times. Literally 10 times over the years until finally I played it on stream, and you know, I had chat holding me to account being like, don't be a bitch, Corgi. Finish the game. You can do this, Corey. It took that to drag me across the finish line. And now I love Souls. But, like, you know, that first Souls game, man, that thing took months. Holy shit. Holy shit. But yeah, the amount of times I quit Dead by Daylight, actually a higher number. A higher number.
the hatch.
There's
would
so
open.
many
This
quick
meant
points.
the survivors didn't have to wait to open the exit gates to escape. They merely had to wait until they had enough generators that the hatch was visible on the map, use a key, and they can ensure everyone gets out safely with
Right.
little to no counterplay for the killer. One might
Exactly,
think that the obvious
yeah.
counter to this situation is to make sure that the survivors can't get enough generators done. I like your
Correct.
critical thinking, but there's a reason why this is the worst balance game
Let's
ever.
see.
Along with keys, survivors could bring other items with them into the match, like medkits and toolboxes.
Right,
Medkits
yep.
would allow you to heal yourself and others faster, and toolboxes were obviously
I
there
remember
for
these,
doing
yeah.
generators quicker. At this time, one of the add-ons for the toolbox, called Brand New Part, could be used to instantly complete a generator. There were no skill checks, there was no downside. You just click the button and the generator was done.
Wait, isn't
And
this still a
because every
thing?
survivor could bring one if they so chose, you could have games
Wait, guys, isn't this a thing? Oh, no, it sped it up. Yeah, it didn't instantly complete it. Right now, it just speeds it up by, like, a lot. Because I was playing this guy, this nerdy kid with the glasses, and he specialized in the toolboxes. Right?
where 4 generators were
So
done
janky
in
and
the
clunky.
first 5 seconds.
2
of the
is my
game.
favorite,
Or,
Minta.
if you were going for a hatch escape, you could bring 3 brand new parts and 1 key, complete
Raz
2
Bunny, how you
generators by
doing?
hand, and then use the brand new parts to instantly complete the remaining 3. Once
Right.
the hatch was found, all you have to do was use the key and get all 4
Yeah, this
survivors
sounds very
safely out
broken.
of the game. While this might sound bad from the killer's perspective, they had their own tools that could end games quickly.
Actually, I can do this. You can see right here. There's a basket, and that's where it sits.
Right next to his
The
vibrator.
Mori was an offering that killers could use that would allow them to kill any survivor that they downed. Without having to waste time of using the hook mechanic, you could quickly and cinematically shred your way through the survivors. And with certain killers, like the Hillbilly with an insta-down mechanic, you could make the game 3v1 within 10 seconds. And unlike with hooking survivors, there was no counter.
Oh yeah,
to
Raz,
this,
I don't
as there was
enjoy
no
playing
way
this
to
game
stop a
either.
Mori
That's why we're
animation
looking
when
at
it
this.
began. Because of the nature
It's
of
just
the
a
game
discussion.
and killers being able to see what survivors are holding while they're in the lobby, killers could tell whether or not someone was going to bring a key, and most killers would save all of their Moris for this situation. Funnily enough, it was a lose-lose for both sides, because the old ranking system required you to get multiple points in several different categories, and if you dominated the game too hard by ending it early, you wouldn't meet the threshold for ranking up, creating an on situation where a killer could kill all 4 survivors and D-rank, or all 4 survivors escape and D-rank.
Jesus, that's like if you play League of Legends and you actually kill everything on the map, all the towers, you take every dragon. You know, we call that a sweep where we just, Giga won the game. But it's like if that happened and then you just lose LP after the victory screen. Oh my god, that is so dumb. Dude, what is wrong with the balance team of this game? Like, apparently the balance team for this game, for Dead by Daylight, has always been dumb. Yeah, I mean, I just lose LP the old-fashioned way by actually losing. Exactly, Darkshade, correct. Actually, no, I'm a jungle main. Yeah, being a jungle main is exactly like this, Darkshade. As a jungle main, you can still do everything perfectly correctly. Get your team a 10,000 gold lead, take 3 dragons in a row, take, it used to be the Rift Herald, now the Grubs. And then you would still lose the game because all 4 of the other people on the map are just useless. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, I know this very well. Yeah, exactly. If you stomp too hard, the game's like too boring. You get nothing, which is both dumb. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gives new players a chance. Well, no, that's the thing. So Raz Bunny, this is what I was saying. This is Dead by Daylight is the only game where it basically tells both sides you have to play by like certain honor rules to like not do certain actions. And if you do that, then the game is fun. And so it tells you to do those actions. But like the game isn't balanced in a way to make those things the norm. So the killer has to make sure he doesn't tunnel, and the survivors has to make sure they don't bring like broken perks, which gives them like 900 movement speed at all times, and things like that. Like, dude, I've never heard of a fucking game, any other competitive game on the face of the planet, which tells the players that if you don't play nicely, the game is just going to be unfun for everyone. This is insane. It's actually insane.
But in a game like Dead by Daylight, the only real victory is making sure the other side isn't having any fun.
Yep.
Generators and hooks
Yeah, that
are the
sounds
only
about
ways
right.
that either side can progress the game. And while killers were never able to destroy generators, survivors had access to a perk called Saboteur that allowed them to sabotage hooks, which at the time would permanently destroy them and not allow them to be used for the remainder of the match. Because survivors could wiggle and eventually break free of the killer's grasp if they aren't hooked quickly enough, making sure the killer has nowhere to hook a survivor once they've been downed ensures that the killer can never progress the game. Thankfully, there are 4 hooks on the map that were never able to be destroyed, not even in this broken version of the game. Those were the basement hooks. The basement was an area that would usually spawn underneath the killer shack.
Okay,
and the only way in or out was a
this
single
basement is where you
staircase.
never want to
Being hooked
go.
down there as a survivor was an instant death sentence. Most
Yeah,
survivors
basically.
at the time wouldn't even go down to help you because they knew how hopeless the situation was. Because more often
This
than
is
not,
still
all
a
of your hooks
thing.
would be
The times that I've been hooked and put in the basement, no one has ever come and helped me. Ever. And we've won the game because of it. And by we, I mean them. I would just be sitting in the basement, literally doing nothing. Because there's no way for me to get off the hook until someone comes to me. And the killer is just like, you know, kind of hovering around this area anyways. Like, it's the most unfun shit ever. Completely. Artificial
sabotage,
constraints,
most
correct,
killers
Razzbunny.
would run a basement build. This was a combination of 2 perks at the time, Agitation and Iron Grasp, which made the killer faster when they carried survivors, and made it so that the wiggle percentage, which was the mechanic that allowed survivors to break free of the killer's grasp,
Was
reduced
infinitely smaller,
significantly,
yeah.
making it borderline impossible to ever escape from a killer.
Right.
This pairing of perks allowed the killer to take you from wherever you were downed on the map all the way into the basement. And once you were there, you were not likely to get
Oh
out,
my
as
God.
the other 2 perks that a killer would run, Unrelenting and Save
Holy
the Best for Last,
shit.
would reduce the cooldown on their attacks so much that even if another survivor managed to get you off that hook, the killer could down both of you before you even reached the
Right.
base of the stairs.
Yep.
Eventually, Dead by Daylight would release Leatherface, one of the strongest insta-down killers, so notorious for his defense of the basement that they would be known as Basement Bubbas. But that's a discussion for a different time.
Oh my
First
god.
licensed DLC for Dead by Daylight, the Halloween chapter, which brought Michael Myers and
We've covered, what, like 5 different eras of the game already, guys? Has this game ever been balanced? Like, there's not a single balanced era of this game so far. Like, I feel like I'm seeing a pattern here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like the devs just said, hey, this sounds like a fun mechanic without doing any QA testing on what would happen. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, when this happens in League, you just ban that champion. Until they nerf it. There's no banning or anything like that in here. Yeah.
Road paved the way for future licensed DLCs, and as to be expected, broke the game even further.
Of course, yeah.
Haddonfield, the DLC added map, was so horribly imbalanced that most killers would DC at the site. There was even a house titled the House of Pain for how hard it was for killers to catch survivors there. One of the main issues at the time was that Haddonfield was full of windows and full of drop downs.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, killers move slowly through windows while survivors move faster.
Exactly.
And while technically, if a survivor falls from a great height, they're supposed to be staggered for a couple seconds, slowing them and allowing the killer to catch up. There was a perk in the game called Balanced Landing, which reduced the stagger effect from falls by up to 75%.
So there's
And
no
after landing,
downside.
You would sprint at 150% of your normal running speed with a cooldown of only 40 seconds. And at the time, this wasn't an exhaustion perk, so you could use other things like Sprint Burst with this. If this sounds pretty horrible, it was.
It was, yeah.
However, this might be
I
the
can
most
imagine.
balanced thing out of the entire DLC. Because with this DLC, not only do we have Decisive Strike, but we have Object of Obsession. This perk,
I don't know what this
probably
means.
most out of everything I've mentioned so far, has left a scar on the community, and is one of the reasons why people hate
Tunnel the
Survive with
shit out of
Friends
them. Yeah,
with so
yeah,
much passion. Object of Obsession was a perk that made you the obsession of the killer. Looking at them outside of their terror radius revealed your aura to each other, which essentially just meant you could see each other through walls. In a
Right.
vacuum, this sounds like not the greatest perk. The killer can see you wherever you go, making it almost impossible to escape from them? Why would you
Correct.
want that? Well, with a little tool we call Discord, and something most people haven't heard of, Friends, you could not only track everything that the killer was doing, but relay every single
Oh
movement.
my
This made killers like great.
god. This is why, like, for example, Tarkov does not have a replay system. Though, I mean, I think this is an excuse. They should have a replay system for after the raid ends. That would just, you know, make this not a really big issue at all. But Tarkov is a game where you can play as a squad, and, you know, it's an extraction shooter and all that. But if you're with your friends, you can already tell them, like, hey, I think I got shot from that window up there. But you can say, I think, right? If the game had a replay system, you would know exactly where they are. And this is why it's so hard to play Tarkov as a streamer, because someone can just hop in your stream. If you kill 2 people out of a squad, and there's a squad of 5, those 2 people can hop in your stream because they'll see that they got killed by capcorgiTV. and they'll hop in the stream, know exactly where I am, and yeah, then I'm just I'm just screwed. Oh my god. The only time Dead by Daylight is balanced is when servers are down for server maintenance and or patch. God damn, Aku. God damn. Why would you say something so controversial, yet so brave? My favorite gif.
whose only power was going invisible, utterly useless,
Oh
and
my
killers like
God.
Trapper that relied on strategically placing traps across the map that hopefully survivors would stand on, also useless.
Right,
While
yeah.
this perk was released in 2016, it wouldn't get nerfed until 2021.
Oh,
making
5
stealth
years!
killers released during this time, like Ghostface, almost unplayable. Other notable additions like Decisive Strike, which, unlike how
Dude, 5 years of not a single nerf? That is unironically worse than League of Legends balance team. Like, League of Legends had some broken ass shit, but it's usually, and it feels long, but it's usually broken for like a couple of months. Sometimes an entire split, which is, you know, what period of 5-6 months. And that still feels like a lot. But very, very rarely has things been broken, has been a certain thing been broken without any attempt at balance for, I don't think ever for 5 years. Chat, Dark Shade, anyone who plays League, has there ever been something broken for 5 years in League of Legends? I don't think so. I mean, besides like a silly answer like, oh, League's broken. Yeah. I mean, everyone says that. But like, but like in actuality, no. Because they completely iterate the game and do like giant sweeping balance changes like every 3 months, especially in the jungle. Like, dude, every jungle. Master Yi for low elo specifically? I don't think so. Illawai ult? Now, Illawai ult is very balanced. You just run away. Like, if you have a character that can run away, it's fine. Illawai ult is balanced around your teammate being an absolute buffoon. So with Illawai, if her ult is lasting too long, that's the imbalance. And then they nerf the ult duration. And it's not too big of a deal. Now, the other problem is you can't control your teammate, Selly. So if you know, like if I know I'm the Udyr, and I know to run away from the Illawai and just avoid her ult and make it, run out, and my compatriot, my other player on the team, does not know that, then it just feels like shit. But that's like a brain error. That's like literally a person being incorrect and like trying to, do something that they shouldn't do. Innervating Locket Udyr when it came out, yeah, but Innervating Locket was not there for, it wasn't 5 years though. Innervating Locket was taken out of the game, and it was nerfed a couple of times before it was taken out of the game. But when it was taken out of the game, it wasn't 5 years. Because Innervating Locket is something that us Udyr mains loved for as long as it was in the game. And that thing hasn't been in the game for like literally 12 years, 13 years. So yeah, it's been a really long time since Innervating Locket. Yeah, I don't think anything else. I can't think of anything that's been broken for 5 years. I'm just saying the 5 year mark. The 5 year mark is fucking crazy. Like this perk has been broken for longer than many games have been out. Like a lot of games haven't existed for this long. Remen, hope you're having a great night. Welcome, buddy. We miss you. It's great to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
the perk is used now as an anti-tunnel measure, used to allow you to stun the killer as soon as you were picked up for the first time. And because every single survivor could run it, it created what we now call the slug meta, where killers, knowing that everyone had Decisive Strike, would refuse to pick up.
This is what I'm talking about. We're all just crawling. Dude, this thing is still broken. I literally lost to all of us being crawling. The last time I played this game was what, like 4 months ago? Something like that. Yeah, I hope you're doing great, Remen. Welcome back, buddy. We're still on every single night. Hop on in. Enjoy.
Survivors and just let them bleed out on the ground for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
What an exciting time for Dead by Daylight
Yeah,
that was.
exactly.
Killers also got their fair share of goodies. This was also the introduction of Save the Best for Last, Play with Your Food, and Dying Light. All perks that would end up becoming staples of a lot of good killer builds until they were inevitably nerfed. And Michael, the newest killer to the Dead by Daylight killer roster, came with an add-on combo that was potentially stronger than even Mori's. His iridescent add-on, Judith's Tombstone, allowed you to insta-kill every single survivor that you caught, even if they were at full health, and by comboing that with another add-on, you could have permanent tier 3 on Michael Myers, meaning that for the rest of the game, as long as you could get to tier 3 once, you would be able to insta-kill every survivor. Although, you would have to find the survivor first.
Did they not think of this? Like, I feel like the Dead by Daylight dev team just puts shit in the game without even thinking about it. Like, this is... At least there's a team at Riot that thinks about things. Stopwatch. Okay, you have me on Stopwatch, Darkshade. Stopwatch might be the one thing that I can think of that has been in the game for 5 years until it was literally fucking removed. Or not removed, but it's like almost removed now. Yeah, exactly. Full decade. Yeah. That's true. You got me there. So League of Legends had one thing where it actually lasted over 5 years broken. You're right. I'll give you that one, Darkshade. I'll give you that one. That's true. But it's still got iterations. They lowered the duration, things like that.
Change the way that the game looked. Certain Moonlight offerings would allow you to dim the light of the map, and fog offerings would allow you to increase the amount of fog on the map.
Oh my God.
Comboed together, you could have a map that is so dark that most killers can't see you, even if you're walking around.
This is so stupid. This is so stupid. This game is... Oh my God. I remember I was playing this game on stream, and people in chat were like, why don't you turn the brightness all the way up like everyone else does? Because then you can see the game better. And I'm like, if I had to fucking do that, that's a problem with the game. Like, I shouldn't be expected to have to increase the brightness to an insane degree in order to normally play the game. Apparently, this is meta. And this is meta in a few games. Like, Tarkov is like this as well, where people will regularly do night raids. But, and they had to nerf this in Tarkov, actually, where what you could do was open your NVIDIA control panel, and there was, like, guides to find the exact settings. And basically, all the nighttime raids were so bright that it looked like daytime raids. And so now it is a function of the game where if you do this in NVIDIA control panel, the game can tell and it'll ban you. But, like, this was broken for, what, like 4 years in Tarkov. And now what people do is they just change their monitor settings, which, the game can't detect. But it's still the same thing. Yeah, exactly. But this is a problem with the in-game lighting. Like, this is a problem on the dev team side. Oh my God. And the reason this is broken in Tarkov is because the Tarkov dev team hasn't realized how fucking light dispersion works. So there's a map called Interchange, which is a giant mall, right? And there's, like, these giant, in a normal mall, you have the giant, like, glass windows, not windows, essentially windows, ceiling windows. Ceiling windows? Is that a thing? Ceiling windows? Where, light is supposed to come through and it's a daytime raid and everything. But the light doesn't work in the game. Normal light disperses, right? That doesn't happen in Tarkov because it uses Unity 2021, which they don't have that. Skylights. Thank you, Revan. I forgot the name of the word. Yep. Skylights is what I'm talking about. And so in Interchange, the map is so dark in certain areas, everyone who plays Interchange as their main map does the little monitor trick that I told you about. Because if they don't, the map is borderline unplayable for, like, a normal person. Yeah, exactly. And this is why I used to play Interchange, because I could be outside the entire time, and they nerfed that, so you had to be inside now. And this is why I no longer play Interchange at all until they fix the lighting. I refuse to play that fucking map. If I do a quest there, I suffer through it and whatever. But if I don't, then I don't go to that map because the lighting is dog shit. It's just absolute abject dog shit. But it looks like this was like a setting in the game for Dead by Daylight.
Right in front of them. This was made worse by Iron Will, which, when injured, would prevent you from making any noises, and the infamous P3 Claudette, which in layman terms was Prestige 3 Claudette, a character with a bloody cosmetic that allowed them to blend in with the environment, which rendered them borderline invisible. Funnily enough, Claudettes were hated on just about every side of the aisle, because every survivor that played with another Claudette would notice them crouching in the corner of the map.
Claudette doing? I don't know, probably hiding in a bush.
Claudette, can you do a fucking gen?
I don't know what to do. I've been literally getting chased for 20 minutes. Can she run?
You really shouldn't count this.
Look at her. Run.
Just do that.
Dude, this game is so bad. Holy shit, man. What the fuck? I just came back after shower, and how long has this game lasted? What has the Claudette been doing? Oh my God. Holy shit, man. Yeah, one time, remember the Warsong Gold story I was telling you about, where it's like, you know, the teams would be so evenly matched and like the flag carriers would be so fucking like tanky and stuff, it was impossible to kill them. I literally, oh my god. And Dicarius bot, welcome, my friend. It's good to see you on your bot. I know it's you, Christina, welcome. But I remember in Warsong Gulch, one time, I was playing Warsong Gulch. We were in an even match, and one of these stalemate situations. And my mom called me up for dinner, and I wasn't allowed to be playing World of Warcraft. And you know, my mom was going to yell at me if she saw me on my computer. So I shut off my computer screen and went up to go eat dinner with my mom, acting like I was doing my homework or whatever. And my mom was like, kept talking for like an hour and a half to me about like random shit going on throughout the day and everything. And I was like, oh, man, I definitely lost that Warsong Gulch game. I come back down after an hour and a half. We're still in the same game. Oh, my God. Yeah, and I put my character on, like, auto move, so he's just running into a wall so he wouldn't get AFK'd out. No, Steel Zipper, we're talking about it, my friend. We're talking about it. Welcome, welcome. And Christina, hope you're having a great night. We miss you. It's been a while since we saw you in here. Lovely to have you back.
After a shower and how long has
This is so stupid, man. Oh my god. But again, that mechanic in World of Warcraft was nerfed. Not here. Jesus.
Claudette was watching your stream.
And every killer was trying to figure out how to adjust their brightness to 400.
Back before they put timers on PvP matches because 3-day
I'm sure we were
AVs,
close to getting the Seeing Eye Dog DLC, but behavior wasn't able to.
Exactly. 3-day long Alterac Valleys were, honestly though, unlike the Warsong Gulches, the Alterac Valley was the most fun shit ever. Like, I don't know. I think it might be between that and like the days of like hardcore world PvP, where like everyone was like focused around like, you know, going through different like cities, murdering each other and shit like that. And that was like an entire meta in World of Warcraft as well. But between that and like the 3-day long Alterac Valleys, I don't think I've ever had more fun in World of Warcraft ever. Besides those two things. Yeah, exactly. It was fun. At least those are fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, constantly tagging between South Shore and Horde Base. Yeah, exactly. Hammermill? Hammer something or another, right? Yeah, South Shore and Hammer Dick or whatever. Yeah. And then they made a PvP about, yeah, BG. Exactly. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh, it's so good. I mean, hey. This is a reason why, like, people that were hardcore addicts of World of Warcraft look back on the days that they were hardcore addicts of World of Warcraft. I'm one of them. This is why I know. And like, they're like, yeah, it was a time where I lost all my friends. I didn't talk to a single outside person. I gained 50 pounds. I nearly quit school. Or I did get, or you know, I failed my classes or whatever. And yeah, I had the most fun of my life ever. I'd look back on that as the most fun period of my life. And like, this is exactly how they preface it and they end the story. And you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. And it's true because yeah, Raiden's hand, me too. Exactly. All of us feel that way. Yeah, Christina, there's, remind me to send you this. The actor who was in, oh God, what was that movie called? Pacific Rim. Remember Pacific Rim, the first one? The guy who plays like the younger Australian kid who's like a complete asshole. He was a hardcore World of Warcraft addict. And in the lead up to the Pacific Rim being released, oh, you watched that movie for the first time? Oh, it's one of my favorite movies. It's so good. It's pure fun. But yeah, that kid, the guy who plays the Australian asshole, Christina, this son who dies, he was a hardcore World of Warcraft addict. And so he was on, I don't know if it was Kimmel or whatever. It was Conan. I don't know. Jimmy Fallon, maybe. And he was talking about his World of Warcraft addiction. And this exact story, the situation that I told you, is exactly what he said. And it was on live television. And he was like, yeah, it was the most fun period of my life and I wouldn't change a thing. And the host, I forgot who it was, is looking at him like, what the fuck? You can probably Google and find it. If you're not able to, remind me, I'll send it to you. Henry Cavill plays. Yeah, Henry Cavill was such an addict to World of Warcraft. He missed his call to accept being Superman. Because he was in a WoW raid. He saw the phone, and he was like, nah, I'll fucking call him back. Because he was in a WoW raid, and he didn't want to interrupt the WoW raid. Yeah, exactly.
To secure the license for Airbud.
Dude, Airbud was
so far,
Airbud
I haven't
went
talked
hard.
too much about Survive with Friends, even though they're a core reason of why Dead by Daylight is one of the most imbalanced games ever.
Yes.
Survive with Friends isn't anything complicated. All it is playing Survivor with your friends. In most games, this isn't really a problem. However, Dead by Daylight was obviously not made to give so much information.
Anytime
to
someone says that they're playing Dead by Daylight SWF, my brain just thinks of single white female. Because in any lexicon except for Dead by Daylight, SWF means single white female. I don't know. This is completely random. What else does it mean? Surviving with friends. Or basically you're playing a friends match. Exactly. There are no rules that say a dog can't play basketball.
Not only
Exactly.
is there no voice chat when you get into the game, there's no text chat, and the only form of communication that you can have with your other survivors in the game is by teabagging, pointing at them,
Right.
or waving at them to come.
Right.
Without perks, you shouldn't even be able to tell the location of other survivors in the game.
Right.
And back then, there was no way for you to know whether or not someone else was doing
This is not a balancing thing, though. One of the reasons for this is because, along with being one of the most imbalanced games of all time, Dead by Daylight is also one of the most dogshit toxic games of all time. I have streamed Dead by Daylight for a grand total of maybe, I thought it was 20, but might be more like 40 hours. I've never played it really off stream. And every single time I play that game, the amount of people that have come into the game, either on my team or even like the opposite team, if I'm the killer, the survivors, if I'm the survivors, killer, whatever, and the other survivors, they would come in and be like just absolutely giga toxic, just yelling slurs at me. Just straight up. Yeah. Basically designed to make you play like a toxic bitch to each other. Oh, no. I mean, dude, people are very, very toxic in general. That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. It's a toxic community for that reason. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This entire imbalancing, and I'm thinking is because of how imbalanced the game is, has bred a community full of toxicity. Like, straight up. It's like the most toxic shitters on the planet all the time. Just yelling at each other and just being like, calling each other slurs and shit. And you're just like, what is this, man? This is a video game. Like, dude, I'm not playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare back in like 2010. Like, this is crazy, man. Hey, Chumbus, welcome. We miss you. So great to see you. Riki, welcome back to the stream. Hope you're having a great night. It's been a long time since I had you in here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, for all of our lovely friends, if you guys are enjoying the discussion, I do put all this stuff on YouTube, and I do all this stuff live on Twitch. So if you guys are enjoying on the YouTube, hop into the Twitch. If you guys are enjoying on Twitch, hop into YouTube. Enjoy the great videos. I put up a new video, and if you like the video, give it a like, give it a sub. It helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment. Tell me your favorite part of the video so far, or your least favorite part. We would love to get to know you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Generator, getting chased by a killer, or hiding in a locker for 60 seconds. This dumbass killer, bro. You ain't gonna find me, bro. You ain't finding me. I'm the stealth fucking god. Ah! Yet, if you play with your friends in Discord, all of this information and more was available to you. As I already went over, Object of Obsession made the game even worse, and pretty much showcased that anytime you would run Survive with Friends, you would have a massive advantage over anyone who didn't. It was kind of like playing Among Us, but you didn't mute at the beginning.
Right.
Let's go.
Felix, you're not muted.
Killing time. Oh,
feel free to enjoy the good
vibes.
vibes.
There was really nothing wrong with Survive with Friends. Again, it was just you playing with your friends. The real problematic part was bully squads. These were people that usually had no lives, would queue up with their friends, and instead of actually playing the game, would make sure that the killer had the worst time possible. All of the imbalance.
This still happens, though, right? Like, people were telling me while I was playing this, I was playing solo and stuff, and they were like, yo, just invite us all and we can bully the killer. I'm like, I don't want to do that shit. Are you kidding me? That sounds so toxic. Why the fuck would I want to do that?
Things I've talked about
It still
previously,
happens, yeah,
infinites,
exactly.
Brand new parts, keys, sabotaging hooks, bringing map offerings so you would always go to the same map, bringing moonlight offerings so you would always not be able to see shit, bringing flashlights so you could never pick up a survivor without being blinded.
Exactly,
all in the name to piss off the killer and hopefully get them
I think this is still in existence because this literally still happens. People were asking me to do this with them, and I played killer a couple of times, and this shit happened to me. Like, I mean, when everyone comes in with a flashlight, you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna be one of these. You just know. You just literally know.
Connect. Killers like the nurse and the hillbilly at the time were strong enough that in the hands of a good player could still beat these bully stacks. However, trying to play Trapper or the Wraith against someone running Object of Obsession and bringing multiple flashlights so you can never pick up a survivor without being stunned made the game awful to play for anyone who wasn't willing to play the most meta killer with the most meta perks, or for anyone new at the game. Flashlights were the items of choice for survivors during this time because they could do something called instant blind, where you'd point a flashlight at a killer and it would blind them before they could even look away. It was bad enough that even during mid-chase, you forgot which day the eclipse was. You're running after.
Oh, that's
this
so
spawned
good.
Numerous memes, including some where the Trapper was in a corner being constantly clicked and flashlighted at by a group of 4 survivors. But you know what they say about those who fly too close to the sun. During a Korean Twitch event in 2017, Matthew Coate, the game director for Dead by Daylight, had the opportunity to talk about Dead by Daylight with a panel of other hosts.
Right.
One of the panelists mentioned that as survivors get better at the game becomes more survivor-sided. Here's what Matthew says.
Yeah, so when you're at the low levels, killers have a bit of an advantage, and when you get to the high levels, the survivors have a bit of an advantage, but it's a very, very small margin, and something that we're looking at and constantly trying to calibrate, and it's gonna change with the way we're rating the performance.
The game is dog shit. Like, it's just dog shit on every level. It's imbalanced in every single way, shape, and form. So, and it's exactly how you'd expect? Okay.
That's something that's coming very soon.
Later, Matthew was even challenged by one of the hosts on the panel, saying that the game would be more balanced if he was a better player, and eventually coaxing him into playing killer in front of everybody.
They're talking about, like, you know, how good of a player that you would be.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And, you know, since you're the developer, and, you know, he was saying, oh, it looks like you'll be pretty good since you're the developer, but him, Luxam, was saying
that was bullied and I love it.
If you were a very...
Look, I don't feel, I think this is not like, so, I don't know if I'd use the term bullying, because bullying is like, you know, being unfair. This is a problem with the game, and they're clearly telling him what the problem with the game is. This is just spitting facts, in my opinion. They're not calling him names. They're not saying you're dog shit. They're not saying you're an asshole. They're just saying that this is so blatantly unbalanced that we're going to force you to figure it out right here. We're just going to sit you down right here. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know if I use the term bullying, but I think this is hilarious. This is so good. I wish we could do this with every single competitive game that is imbalanced. Like, I wish I could go to Riot Games headquarters and force them to play against an Akali main. Like, an Akali main that is really good. And then they could realize what is busted about that bullshit champion. And you know, so on and so forth. Actually, Akali Shroud was really strong for like 2 years. We were talking about things that have been broken for over 5 years. Granted, the Shroud wasn't even in existence for 5 years, but ever since the Shroud, you know, for Akali's rework happened, I think it's been about like 2 years that it was completely busted. So yeah, there's a couple of things. If it's OP when it happens, you'll find the exploit and use it to the advantage. Oh yeah, no, that's tactical. I don't blame the players for doing it tactical. I literally blame the balance team. It is the balance team's fault. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I completely agree. Completely agree. Stouts go under towers. Exactly, Chumpus. Yep, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, correct. The game is imbalanced for tryhards? Well, no. Wait, which one? Dark Shade. No game is balanced for tryhard. Well, no, that's not true. Every game should be balanced against the tryhards. Dead by Daylight? Dude, I was figuring out the issues wrong with the game, and I played less than 50 hours. Like, oh my god. I'm not good at the game, and I'm able to figure out what's fucking dog shit about this game. That's what I mean. That's what I mean, man. Things are so disgustingly imbalanced in this game. And Dr. Wafers, lots of love, buddy. If you need good vibes, we're here for you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Very skillful, high-tier player. The balance would be a little better.
So good to have you in here, Chumpus.
If you don't mind, would you like playing, you know, a game as a killer?
This is so good.
Sure, I can do that.
This is so good.
This game was a public match. This was just a random group of survivors they found when they queued up in Korea.
It is so good because this is such a huge event. This dev knew he could not say no. He knew he would look like an absolute buffoon if he said no. There is no way for him to say no. They absolutely planned and manipulated him into saying yes. This is brilliant. And it wasn't like mean. It was just like, hey, you got to know this problem. This is a problem we're going to illustrate for you in gory detail in front of everyone. Oh my god, this is genius.
And this was one of the most one-sided ass beatings I've ever seen. The game director of Dead by Daylight was getting teabagged at every pallet, flashlighted mid-chase, insta-blinded every time they would go to hit a pallet.
Funny.
Only had 2 hits on survivors the entire
Holy
game, one of which
smokes.
was completely countered by adrenaline. And at the end of the game, in the post-game chat of a game that only lasted 5 minutes, the survivors typed, "Noob killer."
Asian level play.
Noob killer.
Sealing the
that's a
flashlight's
little
fate
weird.
forever.
Now you felt how the killers feel when a team of 3, a team of 4 go up against you with flashlights and they just play around with you. So
And the problem is, why was this necessary? This should not have been necessary. It's not like the players were not giving feedback. I have friends that have played Dead by Daylight all throughout each one of these eras. And they've, every single one of these eras of broken shit in this game, it's not like the devs don't know. It's not like they're not getting feedback. They're getting nothing but feedback. People are nonstop telling them what's broken in this game. And they're just not listening. They're just not fixing it. Flashlights were so toxic. Frankly, they still are, Remen. Frankly, they still are. A lot of the problems with flashlights are still problems with flashlights right now. And the reason I know this is because I played as killer, and I walked into a match where it was 4 people playing with friends, each one. You can't spam click? Sure. But even in its nerf state, it's broken, Remen. That's what I'm saying. It was giga broken here, but it's still broken. That's what I'm saying. This is like when Riot August says everything's fine, then gets shit stomped by something in a rank game, then it gets nerfed a week later. Yeah. Except you mean Freak now. But yeah, both, exactly. And DBD and Ubis, my friend, how have you been? Welcome, my friend. We're discussing your favorite game. I hope you're having a great night, DBD and Ubis. It's been a long time. We are still here every single night. Great to have you back, my friend.
I knew that already. Why not upgrade the killers a little bit if you felt what the pain was as being alone in the woods as
there you go
by yourself.
The flashlights are extremely powerful. And it's very frustrating when you get an organized group playing against.
He's still rationalizing it. This is the problem with the Dead by Daylight devs. They spend all of their time rationalizing the bullshit they've put into the game rather than fixing the bullshit they put into the game. I think I figured it out, guys. Ego. It's ego.
You like this, and these are tweaks that are gonna happen. But yeah, definitely we want to make sure that both sides are always having fun, but some combinations are gonna be much more powerful.
Roughly 1 month later, flashlights were nerfed, and the insta-blind mechanic no longer existed. That game was like putting Oppenheimer in the fresh fallout of a nuclear bomb.
There you go.
Retribution at its finest. I really do think we could solve all balance issues by forcing every Dead by Daylight dev to have to play against Survive with Friends stat.
What did I just say? Well, I mean, I think he's talking about Dead by Daylight devs, but straight up, every single dev should be forced to play against the broken shit in their game. Every single dev of every game. And guess what? It would get fixed fucking fast. Straight up. It would get instantly fixed. Oh my god. Because no one wants to play against this shit.
Every single day. Now, the flashlight nerf wasn't the end.
There you go, Dark
today,
Shade.
using a flashlight as a survivor feels like you're chasing the killer instead of the other way around.
Bang, bang, bang.
But at least now, insta-blinds are no longer.
Like I said, the flashlights are still strong. What happened to the killer there? That's exactly what happened to me. When that happened, I saw that they were all having flashlights. I was like, oh crap, this is gonna be one of those. And it was. And I knew it. And I was like, yeah, this game is just gonna be unplayable. And I wanted to disconnect. And yeah, we stopped playing Dead by Daylight that night, guys. We played I think we swapped to World of Warcraft afterwards. Holy smokes. There's a bug right now with a perk that allows for infinite item use. Dead by Daylight is inherently, permanently, fucking disgustingly broken. It is, I don't think it's ever been in a balanced state. I think this might be one of the few games that has never, ever, 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 ever been balanced. There's my surprise face. Yeah, exactly. Look at my surprise face, guys. Look at my surprise face. This is my surprise face. Yeah. Exactly.
Over time, admittedly, Dead by Daylight got more and more balanced. Sadly, balance didn't really mean more fun. Gen rushing, while not as strong as it used to be in the era of the old brand new parts where you could simply click a button and instantly complete a generator, was becoming more and more of an issue as the average skill of the player base was increasing. Not only were survivors able to hit better skill checks, but they were also getting more confident in dealing with the killer.
Actually, skill level increasing steadily is a big problem with a lot of games. Like, if you go back to World of Warcraft Classic, not vanilla, I mean classic, the dev team didn't realize how broken certain shit was. And so, you know, it's because the player base that played original vanilla, of which I'm a part of, we were fucking dog shit at the game. And so we would get caught out by like the easiest mechanics ever. And then we got much better at the game as the years went on. And so when we hit classic, everyone who played classic just breezed through every fucking mechanic. It was like nothing. It was like the easiest shit ever, even at the highest tier of level. It's like, dude, this is so stupid. And you know, League of Legends, things that were oh my god, man. Someone did I can't remember who it was, did a comparison video of like a pro game. Like I think like a game at Worlds or something, which is like the biggest tournament in League of Legends, in like season 1, compared to like a diamond game today. And it's like the diamond players today have better mechanics than the original season 1 winners. And it was just like, oh my, this is what happens in every game. Absolutely. Absolutely. The lovely maiden, it's good to see you, my friend. Happy evening. Enjoy the good discussion. Happy evening to you. Welcome, welcome.
Daylight enough might know this feeling. Being utterly frightened at the beginning, hiding in corners, hiding in tall grass, and trying your best to avoid the killer while you get the gens done, before finally growing some balls after enough hours, and being confident enough to stick on a generator even if you hear that heartbeat. This not only meant the killers would have to deal with survivors that could loot them more easily, but they also had to apply more pressure than they ever have. And back in the day, there wasn't really much of an answer other than NOED and Ruin. NOED, also called No One Escapes Death, is the original second chance perk. Once the exit gates were opened, killers with this perk would increase their movement speed by 5% and have their missed attack cooldown decreased by 8%, which could stack with other perks that do the same thing. Not only that,
share a picture with us,
maiden. Survivor would instantly down them. In its original incarnation, this was simply a perk and had absolutely no cooldown.
We'd love
to see it. Was the ultimate perk and frustrated the hell out of survivors. While this perk was meant to give killers like Trapper and Wraith, weaker killers that can be abused, a way back into the game to score a couple kills, there was nothing preventing nurses from running this perk as well. The only counterplay to a nurse with NOED was literally walking out of the map as soon as you saw it. You could be the best survivor in the world, but there's no way you're dodging a nurse with 7 blinks and a 1-hit down. Later, as time went on, it would get nerfed to only last for 120 seconds, 2 minutes, after the exit gates have been opened. A good change, but still, 2 minutes is plenty of time for a killer to take care of any stragglers. When the hag was introduced and we finally got our first taste of hexes, perks that were tied to totems that would randomly spawn on the map and once cleansed would remove the effect for the remainder of the game. This allowed for some counterplay to NOED, because if survivors did the optional side objective of cleansing all the totems on the map, NOED would never activate, potentially solving 2 problems at once, one being the killer's complaint that gens were being done too quickly, and 2, survivors' complaints that NOED is too easy, an interesting and welcome way to balance parts of the game. However, as I said in the beginning, balance isn't always fun. There was another perk that was very popular at the time, almost every killer would run it. It was called Hex Ruin.
Right, I've heard about this.
For Hex Ruin the game, because
even I've heard about this one. That's how ubiquitous this one is.
This, along with some other perks, was one of the reasons that I could no longer get my friends to get into Dead by Daylight. How Hex Ruin worked was, every time a survivor would hit a good skill check, meaning just a regular skill check that provided no bonus, they would instead regress the generator by 5%. Great skill checks, which are hard to hit for new players, would grant 0% bonus progression on the generator. In other words, if you weren't hitting an incredibly hard quick time event, you would actually reverse the progress on a generator. And if there were multiple survivors on a generator all missing the skill check,
dude, make the generator go back to 0. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Why did they think this was a thing? Why would they do this? Oh my god, what is wrong with these people? By these people, I mean the devs. What is wrong with them? What, do they not know how math works? Like, do they not understand basic logic? Like, what is... Dude, what is this? They wanted to watch the world burn? That's so bad for a competitive game, though. Oh my god, this is crazy, man. This is so crazy to me.
Checks, you wouldn't be able to make any progress.
This is wacky.
And killers weren't nice about this either. They would run perk combos like Huntress's Lullaby that would remove the audio warning for a skill check coming up, or killers would play someone like the Doctor, which could make your skill check spawn at random spots on your screen.
God!
The counter to Ruin was finding it and cleansing it, therefore rendering it inactive and making the killer play with only 3 perks for the remainder of the game. There were a few problems with this during the time. For one, totems would spawn in a completely random spot on the map, and sometimes could even spawn directly in front of a survivor. Another problem was, certain killers like the Trapper and the Hag could place traps where their Ruin is and defend it the entire game. Thirdly, if you're a new survivor, you're gonna have no idea what's happening and why the generator just won't make any progress. It was also even more frustrating for experienced players who knew what was happening and would have a new player come to their generator, miss a skill check, and get rid of all of the progress they just made on this generator. I'll never forget when my friend asked whether Ruin was a built-in mechanic, because every single killer that we played against, even at the lowest rank possible, was
100%.
It was extremely weak at the higher levels, as unless you were someone like the Hag that could defend all of your hexes, most coordinated survivors could figure out that Ruin is in the game and go find it and cleanse it, therefore rendering it useless against any high-tier survivor, but making it absolutely horrible for new players.
Remember Tomb Raider? What do you mean? Like the original Tomb Raider, or is that like a thing?
Somewhere around the time where Ruin was at its most AIDS, the survivor's perks were beginning to become quite predictable as well. There was a certain build that every survivor would run that would take care of just about every single need they had. Adrenaline, Dead Hard, Borrowed Time, Decisive Strike, and Unbreakable were almost...
I remember people on Twitter complaining about this, so this must have been relatively recent. Past couple of years or something.
Guaranteed to be on just about every survivor. Decisive Strike and Unbreakable were usually used interchangeably, as the killer had no way of knowing which one you had. On one hand, if they pick you up and you have Decisive Strike, they get stunned. On the other hand, if you have Unbreakable and they leave you there, you just get back up. Killers really had no way of knowing, so the mind game was kind of enough. Once you began to face against experienced players in Dead by Daylight, all of the builds started to look the same. Most survivors would know what most killers were running, and most killers would know what most survivors were running. In a way, it was kind of like mutually assured destruction, where if one side decided to not bring a meta perk, they would get bullied for the rest of the game. Better to bring Moris and...
Yes, this is the problem. If this is what I was saying at the very beginning. If everyone is playing meta, and there is no other way to do it, you are basically assured that everyone has to play meta, or the game is going to be completely imbalanced. This is such dog shit game design.
Noed, then getting teabag and flashlight spammed by a bunch of survivors running Adrenaline and Dead Hard. And once again, killer balance was rearing its ugly head. We were approaching what some would call the worst time in Dead by Daylight history. The first killer, the Spirit, quickly became one of the best killers in the game, almost usurping Nurse. Her entire kit was built around fucking with survivors' heads and causing issues for even the most experienced survivors.
She got stuck!
She had a phasing mechanic, which would intermittently cause her to disappear for barely a second, but long enough to mind game survivors. This was completely passive and had nothing to do with how good the Spirit was. And
wow! Oh, that sounds disgusting.
Her vault animation that allowed her to go through windows also didn't play an animation at all. Instead of playing an actual animation, she would just teleport through it after about a second. Survivors had no way of knowing whether or not she was just mind gaming.
Oh
my
god.
Her main ability allowed her to leave a husk behind and travel through the ethereal plane. What this meant was she had a highly increased movement speed. She could no longer see survivors, but she could still hear them and see their scratch marks. And once she releases the power button, she could teleport to wherever she phase walked to. If a survivor was watching her phase walk, all they would see is the husk left behind, which only looks like the Spirit is standing still. She was a character perfect for the time, and came with an add-on that silenced her phase walk cue, meaning survivors had no way of knowing whether or not she was phase walking, allowing her to grab them off of generators and instantly hook them. She was, and still is, one of the more oppressive killers in Dead by Daylight. However,
every single time something's described in this thing, I'm just like, yeah, It's like literally a list of Akalis in League of Legends. This is like more. They're just like, yeah, here's another Yone. Oh, you want another Cassante? Here's another one. Except they're all in the game at the same time. And it's just like, what the fuck is this? Oh my god, dude. This video is amazing,
However,
though.
her reign of terror was short-lived, as only a few months later, Dead by
Yeah, here
Daylight
enjoy
would
Tank
release
Echo.
probably
Yeah,
the
exactly.
worst DLC they've ever made. Darkness Among Us. Sus. The Darkness Among Us DLC
Amogus.
added Legion, a new killer, and Ormond, a new map. On release, Legion was the most broken killer in all of the game.
Okay.
Legion on release. I'm so salty about this. I'm so
Arguably
salty.
the worst time in DVD history, right? Like,
Really?
It's got to be discussed as like the worst period of time in the game's meta.
And Ormond was the absolute worst map to play if you were killer, and survivors would send you here every game. In the trailer for the DLC, it appeared that this would be some kind of deceptive killer in Among Us before Among Us. When the Legion released, and it turned out that it was actually just a regular
buzzer
one
sound
killer,
was
and your main
perfect.
power was being really fast and
Oh
smacking
my
the shit out of
God.
survivors, everyone was a little bit more than disappointed. Essentially how this killer would play was, you'd activate your power to get a
Okay.
speed boost, allow you to jump through windows and vault over pallets faster, and every time you would hit a survivor, you would inflict deep wounds on them, extend the amount of time that you could stay in your power,
Okay.
and have every other survivor on the map revealed to you. It was a hit-and-run style gameplay, where
Right.
you could quickly injure all 4 survivors on the map, but your power had no inherent way of downing survivors by itself. Now, the deep wound mechanic is basically a timer where if survivors don't mend themselves, they will automatically go down. The timer is paused when you're in a chase with a killer. That way, a killer can't just chase you and wait for the timer to run out. Players quickly found out
Many people
that
as
all
one
you had to
entity,
do was
gotcha.
inflict deep wound and look at the ground, and it would count as ending the chase. So Legion players would hit you with deep wound and then look at the ground like the shy little guys they are, following
Oh,
you
they're so
everywhere you go
shy.
and waiting for you
Aw.
to inevitably drop
Oh, little
from the deep wound.
guys.
Let's just go break this so I can get out of the chase, follow the blood marks.
And this is how you break the game. Yeah. Amazing.
Hi.
Dude.
That's the most toxic thing you can ever do.
You know what my problem is with this? My problem is, like, this is what, like, year 5 of the game being in existence. It's not like the devs are, like, you know, brand new to Dead by Daylight. Like, I understood why the game was broken all the way at the very, like, first 2 eras of the game, right? But we're in, like, fucking year 5 now. Like, holy shit, man. Have they not learned? Like, what is this?
On Legion, just down them. They can't do anything because they're not.
Like,
in
at
the
least
chase,
learn
so
by
they can't keep
experience
running.
at this point.
Bullshit.
There were also other fun combos thrown with the Legion, like Stab Wound Study and Frank's Mixtape, that allowed you to ignore the main mechanic of Legion, which is hit one survivor, go for the next survivor, and quickly injure
could
all
just
of the
do
survivors
this
on the map.
the
And
other way.
instead, you would just chase one
Yeah,
survivor,
and
hit them
just
again,
tunnel.
and their deep wound timer would go down to 0.
There you
And
go.
then we got Frank's Mixtape, basically making it so that I only have to hit them 3 times with my ability in order to down them.
Oh my god. The Donkey Kong music in the background was great, though.
Go ahead and double hit him too.
This obviously felt horrible if you were a Survivor player because there wasn't really much you could do. The Legion was built
Yeah.
around being able to
Sounds
vault
like a
windows
theme of
quickly,
this game.
vault pallets quickly, and basically always have a guaranteed hit on you. Not only was this exceptionally boring for Survivor,
Not much you can do sounds like the theme of this entire game. Every single thing broken in this game is like, there's not much you can do. Oh, shit. Holy crap. Where have I heard that one before? Oh my god.
Yeah, I have a funny story too.
It
I'm
is,
not gonna
yeah.
Name names here, but prominent DVD Survivor main literally banned me from their channel for a period of time because I ran Frank's Mixtape against them. It turns out that he just went on a thing where he banned everybody that used Frank's Mixtape.
whatever Survivor you chose to bully that game would be having 0 fun. Behavior quickly remedied this by nerfing the Legion, removing any way for him to get quick downs, and once every survivor was injured, you had to play him like a regular M1 killer without any power. Since then, Legion's always been quite a weak killer, and most survivors that play against him don't really have to heal up ever, as there really is no downside to being injured against the Legion, and some perks even get stronger when you're injured, which, speaking of healing,
Right. Healing hell. Yeah.
healing in Dead by Daylight
I
has
was waiting
almost
for that
never
one.
been balanced. A prime example of this is the syringe add-on for the medkit. Nowadays, when you use the syringe, you'll heal after 16 seconds. You might have heard other people call this an instant heal, which is a side effect from back in the day when this item did in fact instantly heal you.
Don't
So during the
sleep.
chase, all you'd have to do is drop a pallet and then instantly heal with a medkit, something that would usually take 16 seconds
Oh
that
my
you could
God.
immediately apply, and doing so during chase. Now, that's pretty strong. However, that's probably the most balanced thing out of everything I'm going to list
Oh,
here.
good,
In classic
excellent.
Dead by
It
Daylight
gets
fashion,
worse.
they released a DLC called The Hour of the Witch, bringing a new survivor, Michaela Reed, and
You know, I think it's time that people realize the devs are breaking things on DLC release because they're selling the DLCs. They're doing this on purpose, guys. And I don't know if I don't think he's talked about this, but they're literally releasing broken shit on purpose. I think I didn't even realize this until now. I've been giving the Dead by Daylight devs too much credit. I was like, oh, why is things so broken? Oh my God, this is crazy. Do they not know the game? No, I think I figured it out. They know it. They're just trying to sell DLCs. That's what it is. They're trying to make a shit ton of money. How much money has Dead by Daylight made? Let's look it up right now. Let's see. Let's see. How much money has Dead by Daylight? Well, skins, you don't even need Dark Shade. That's the thing. Made ever. Let's see. Is there a number for forever? This might be like per year. We could estimate. Uh, 26,000 active players as of 31 minutes ago. Oh my God. 254 million. Holy, well, we know why, boys. We know why. There we go. There we go. Bam.
introducing boons, which are essentially just hex totems for survivors. Although there's never really a downside
Figured
to
it out,
having a
guys.
boon, as even though killers can snuff them out, the survivor that
That's
has
a
the
lot
boon
of money.
can just keep reapplying
That's a
them, as
lot
long
of
as there
money.
are totems left to use. So ironically, the only people that can really get rid of boon totems forever are the survivors themselves. Now, Michaela's boon totem is Circle of Healing. On
Okay.
release and for a while after, this boon was one of the most popular perks to run as
I've
a
not heard of
survivor.
this
As
one.
any survivor within a 24-meter radius of this boon, which
Got
every survivor
insta-healed.
could see the aura of, gave you 100% bonus to
Oh
healing
my
speeds
God.
and self-care. Self-care is a Claudette ability that allows you to heal yourself without another survivor doing it for you. The
Oh
downside
my
being that you would
God.
do it at a reduced speed. In other words, if just one person brought Boon Circle of Healing and placed the boon on the map, that gave every survivor
Yep.
in the game an extra perk, on top of the fact that you're already going to be healing quicker. Keep in mind that if a killer brought Ruin into the game and a survivor cleansed that totem, that perk is now disabled for the rest of the game. It took Behavior over a year to nerf this perk and stands as one of the most annoying heal metas.
Oh,
in
that
Dead
sounds
by
so
Daylight history.
stupid.
I wish I
Slacken's
could say
welcome,
that was
buddy.
the most broken time for healing, but there is in fact one other time that puts even this one to shame. The God Mode Healing era. Back in the day, healing used to be a lot faster in Dead by Daylight. Not only that, but you could bring medkits and a perk like Botany Knowledge to increase your heal speeds even further. Survivors back in the day could self-care themselves faster then than they can heal others now. But
Wow.
with the perk Will Make It, not only could they heal themselves at blazingly fast speeds, they could heal themselves quicker than a killer could swing, giving survivors God mode for as long as the perk was active.
Oh
which
my
at the
God,
time was
that's
up to
so
2 minutes.
stupid.
This meant that you could essentially block a hook forever, and with some smart teamwork, you might be able to trap a killer in the corner. In classic Dead by Daylight
This is
fashion,
so
the
dumb.
Hillbilly, the strongest killer at the time, did have some counterplay to this because they could instant down survivors. But
Stop
for people
it.
who played Trapper and Wraith, the two weaker killers, there was absolutely no counterplay. The most hysterical thing about it was all it took was all 3 healing perks at the time, and you could have God mode. But that was all in the past. Surely, self-care will
Surely
never be
it's
broken to the
fixed.
point where it could be abused
Right,
against
guys?
other killers as well, right? Freddy Krueger, another horror icon, has had an interesting balance history in Dead by Daylight, going from the weakest killer in Dead by Daylight history.
All right, man. You had your moment in the spotlight. I cannot make you sound
Shadow,
good.
welcome,
Freddy
buddy.
is just that kid in school everyone bullied. Anyways, that was my tier list.
To one of the strongest.
Next up, we're gonna go for Freddy. Now, some people will question the fact that Freddy is this low.
To one of the weakest again.
The worst killer in the game, arguably right now, is Freddy.
I'll let Matthew,
Oh my God.
goat, explain what Freddy's original power was.
Freddy's power is called Dream Demon. Freddy is invisible to non-sleepers, although he can be heard by paying close attention to the lullaby. When close enough to a normal survivor, Freddy can activate his power to tag him with sleepiness. Once a survivor is tagged with
Sleepy, very
sleepiness,
eepy.
the killer suffers from a minor speed penalty and the survivor is gradually gonna fall asleep. During that time, the
Oh my
survivor's
god. So he makes all the survivors eepy.
aura is no longer shown to Freddy. This is his chance of hiding or trying to wake up. After a short delay, the survivor falls asleep. He's now in the dream world. He can now see the killer and be hurt by him.
In short, any survivors that weren't already asleep could not see or hear Freddy. Freddy,
Correct.
on the other hand, could not interact with a survivor that
Right.
was awake. Freddy's only power at this time was
to
putting
make them go to
survivors
sleep.
to sleep. And
Yeah.
to achieve this, Freddy had to target survivors and wait 7 seconds.
This
before
sounds
they would be
really
put to sleep.
bad.
Once they were finally asleep, Freddy could hit them, see their aura once they're out of his terror radius, and all survivors had a 50% action speed penalty, which
Oh
meant
my
that healing,
God.
repairing, sabotaging, cleansing totems, all of that was reduced by 50%. Survivors could do 3 things to wake themselves up: find another survivor to wake them up, get hooked, or fail a skill check. That last part is the reason that Freddy was the worst killer in the game. During this time, survivors who knew how Freddy's killer power worked would run self-care and intentionally miss the skill checks to be knocked out of the dream world. Once they did
Oh,
that,
shit,
Freddy could no
okay.
longer do anything to them. Awake survivors were completely immune to
Oh
anything
my
that Freddy
God,
would
I
do.
never knew
They could
about
unhook
this.
in front of him, vault in front of
This
him,
is
do anything
crazy.
they wanted. As long as they weren't in the dream world, he was absolutely powerless. But did Freddy receive a rework? Did he receive a buff that would allow him to counterplay survivors? No, in the first patch after his release, Freddy only received nerfs. The reason for this being, Freddy was an absolute menace to anyone who did not know how his power worked. Not only could he see you from across the map, but all of your action speeds were 50% slower, meaning that new players who already had a problem doing generators were getting absolutely obliterated by Freddy players. And so, Freddy remained in this limbo for another 2 years before he would finally get a rework.
2 years of
rejuvenating him
being
and making him
broken?
one of the strongest killers in Dead by Daylight. He functions almost exactly the same as he does now, but previously he had a lot of add-ons that would slow down the game, and paired with other perks,
Oh my
gave him the
God.
moniker Forever Freddy, due to how long Freddy games could really get. However, there's been multiple nerfs since then, and now Sharpan Joe isn't quite what he used to be. It has come to my attention that you haven't subscribed yet, and as a
Nice.
result, we've decided to nerf Pig. The Pig is one of the funniest sagas in all of Dead by Daylight history.
Okay.
Nowadays, she lives in the infamous meme, Nerf Pig, but there's an explanation of why it seems that Dead by Daylight can't stop nerfing the pig.
Okay.
Much like it is nowadays, in 2018,
They released
when the
something
Pig first
giga broken?
released, killers were complaining about how fast gens would progress, often losing 1 or 2 in the first chase. So to mitigate this, Behavior did what they would always do, and release a DLC that would address
Right.
these problems.
Yeah.
One of the pig's main mechanics was putting reverse bear traps on survivors' heads.
And if
Once
you don't
that-
buy the DLC, the gameplay will never be fixed for you. That's literally manipulation to spend money on microtransactions in order to get a mechanic which makes the game playable for you. Like, dude, if any other fucking company did this, they would get absolutely righteously reamed. How does Dead by Daylight get away with this? I don't understand. Like, what is wrong with Dead by Daylight players? Like, no offense for anyone who's a Dead by Daylight player, but like, dude, they've been doing this from the beginning. Every single thing introduces a problem, and you have to buy the DLC to unlock a mechanic that is going to, in some way, mitigate the issue, or release something broken that technically counters it. But you have to buy the DLC to do it. Like, this is so dumb. I
The
don't
pig could
understand.
put a reverse bear trap on a survivor's head, and the next time a generator was completed, that trap would activate. The survivors would then have to go and search through several jigsaw boxes scattered across the map, and hopefully remove the reverse bear trap from their heads. If they failed to, or tried to exit through the gates, the reverse bear trap would activate and kill them. At the time, she was the only killer with built-in slowdown, and because of the RNG nature of jigsaw boxes, sometimes being able to remove the reverse bear trap after the first jigsaw box, and sometimes having to go through 5, she was an absolute menace to new survivors. And initially, upon release, she could block the final jigsaw box so that nobody could get the key.
And this is like a really complicated thing as well. I feel like I would not be able to figure this out in like the first 3 games. If you can't figure out a mechanic in the first 3 games, it's a shit mechanic. It's too complicated. And it'll cause a pain point to make people quit the game. If I ever ran into this, I would quit the game. 100%. Because I don't play this game enough. I would just be like, all right, I'm just going to uninstall the game again. And having more quit points in a video game is always a bad thing. Game design is all about getting rid of the pain points, getting rid of the quit points. Mechanic is really simple. Doesn't sound simple. You have to find boxes. You gotta like open the keys and shit. That's not simple when you don't know the maps, Remen. If you've played the game for like 1,000 hours, you know every single map like the back of your hand, then sure, yeah, maybe it's a lot easier. But for someone like me who's played a considerable amount, which is 50 hours, that's like much less than everything else. I believe they show you the location. Maybe, I don't know. I've never played against Pig, so I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, it sounds complicated the way he's describing it.
Therefore, they die. All of this makes it sound like the pig was actually a very strong killer, and technically, she was. Much like Freddy, the pig has always been very good at killing newer survivors, skewing her kill rate, the statistics the devs use to balance the game, much higher than it really should be, which has, over the years, led to non-stop nerfs. First, they increased her terror radius, which is quite debilitating for a stealth killer. Later that year, they nerfed her reverse bear traps, so that they no longer activated when the endgame collapse began, and therefore made the pig bad enough that gen rushing, the thing that she was designed to stop, actually counted her. If you couldn't down all 4 survivors and put a trap on their head before they completed all 5 generators, half your power would be disabled until the game ends. But that's not all. Once again, later that year, they would nerf the other part of the pig's power, her ambush attack, and make it no longer count as a basic attack.
She got rioted, guys. She got rioted. They nerfed every single aspect to her. What in the world? That is so stupid. Holy shit, man. Holy shit.
This meant things like Save the Best for Last, Sloppy Butcher, and Exposure attacks. Since these many nerfs, the pig received add-on reworks, which were essentially nerfs to many of her popular add-ons, and some changes to the general RNG of the jigsaw boxes. Most of these changes came as a surprise to the community, as she never really was a top killer. Both her and Freddy are perfect examples of why this game will never be balanced. No matter how bad a killer actually might be, if their average kill rate is a little bit too high, nerf them until all you see is blight and nurses. Today, Dead by Daylight might be at its most balanced point it's ever been, but it's still filled with some of the absolute most ridiculous shit you've ever seen. Background player being one of the #1 offenders right now. I could have talked about a couple other things. For example, the old Made for This and Hope combo, which would make survivors just as fast as Huntress, or Medal of Man, where every 4th hit you took would be completely free. So in summary, Dead by Daylight is the worst balanced game of all time, and will continue to be. The developers will keep adding more perks, more killers, each more unbalanced.
And they're gonna make sure that you have to buy every single DLC in order to counter what was broken in the previous DLC. Because if you don't, the game will be unfun. That's why, like, the previous thing that I brought up, the average playtime of this game was like 500 hours. And there was not a number for the average money spent by every player, but I'm pretty sure that will be an astronomically high number as well. Because the population of playing this game is not really that high. It's not like even close to League of Legends numbers. It's not even close to, Tarkov or, any of these other games. And the monetization in this game is worse than all of them. Like, dude, this is like some crazy monetization, man. Holy crap. I thought Paradox was bad about needing every DLC. This is infinitely worse.
The last, and each one being a paid DLC. The classic League of Legends strategy of making broken champions and collecting fat paychecks when people want to play them.
He's so smart, man. Look at this. Look at this guy. He agreed with me. Look at how anytime someone agrees with me, guys, anytime, that just shows how smart they are. Anytime someone agrees with me, says the exact thing that I was saying, that shows how smart they are. This maker of this video already thought he was smart. He's a genius. He's a genius. That's how I know.
And if you're asking why I play this game, let me say this. Some people like cock and ball torture, and I like playing Dead by Daylight from time to time. While one makes it nearly impossible to procreate, and the other is cock and ball torture, I'd like to remind you, the viewer, not to kink shame. Swag Money 69, signing out.
There's another section.
You know it, as I'm making
this
video,
more.
Behavior went and did a behavior thing and did a incredibly busted rework for the twins. The way the twins used to work was you had 2 parts of the killer, Charlotte and Victor. Charlotte functions just like a normal M1 killer. but her power allowed her to control Victor,
There's
a
always
tiny
more,
little
yeah.
gremlin that will hop right off her body and could chase survivors very quickly.
A
If you were
little
healthy,
guy.
Victor would latch onto you and make you injured, forcing the killer to have to control Charlotte again. And you couldn't use Victor unless you downed the survivor or that survivor punted the little shit. If a survivor was injured, Victor would
You
down
can
them.
kick
You'd still
him?
have
That's
control over
funny.
Victor, so you could slug multiple injured survivors at once. She was somewhat like the opposite of Legion, where you always wanted to be fully healed, and you'd pair up so you could kick Victor. Now, there's somewhat of an opposite effect. In the PTB, if he hits a healthy survivor, he gets a small cooldown on his attack, but then he can do it again, downing the survivor
What?
and giving control back to Charlotte. There is absolutely zero counterplay. I saw a clip of Otz, a popular Dead by Daylight content creator, hit a survivor 3 times in the span of around 10 seconds, with the survivor having absolutely no way of avoiding it. A lot
This
of
is
people are
so
calling this like
dumb.
old Legion.
That's the state of Twitch right now. Am I right about that?
Yes, absolutely. At this point, what I might do is, you know, getting a custom icon packs.
Yeah.
I might get
This
custom
didn't
icon
go
packs that places
through?
with a picture of the Legion, or
Wait, this change didn't actually go through? In the meantime, since this video was made? I'm actually shocked. I could have sworn that Dead by Daylight devs would let this one go through. They've let everything else fucking go through. Jesus fucking Christ.
or with just a silhouette.
And are
What
calling
a-
this
oh my
the worst
God,
change that has ever
hallelujah.
been made.
This cannot go live. This is one of the worst things you've ever designed in the game's history. It is a virtually zero counterplay.
But they still
and
tried.
Extremely strong.
They
way too
still
strong.
tried,
Right now it's
guys.
just in the PTB, but keep in mind the old Legion made it out of the PTB as well.
Another question, playing killers was fun a long time ago. But now
It's
only
the same guy. Guys, it's the same guy. Noob Killer. Oh my god.
stressful.
Oh my
That's
god.
An opinion, a valid opinion, but that's an opinion. I used to love playing as a killer, win or lose, it was fun, but currently, no matter what, it's just filled with stress and anger. Killers aren't feared anymore. Do you have any plans or ideas how you would like to improve the killer experience? Well, I would say maybe try Survivor for a bit. No, but it's true. I mean,
What
change
the
it up. Maybe you're
fuck?
just tired, you know, or play.
Is that really a response from the dev? Dude, this guy needs to get bullied again. Like like meeting up with some like random group of people at like DreamHack or whatever. They're like, yo, play killer again. Here, maybe now you'll figure this shit out. Because he doesn't get it, obviously. And he's having such an ego about it. Oh my god, dude. Holy Christ. It's the
Something
same
else
guy.
for a week. Try Civilization or something. Just for a refreshing change. Balance is
Yes, often when you know, this is a very normal dev comment. When someone says, "Hey, your game is like really messed up," and they say, "Go play another game." I have never heard a dev say this. What the fuck? If it's so expensive, fuck you. Yeah. Well, no, I mean it's not only that tactical. Actually, it's when it's on sale, it's really cheap, by the way. But the bad part is he's completely minimalizing the issue. And he's kind of gaslighting and saying, just play a different game. And this is why people don't like Dead by Daylight. This is why I don't fucking play Dead by Daylight. This shit is exactly why. And, you know, I used to wonder, why is the Dead by Daylight community so fucking toxic? Yeah, I think I figured it out, guys. This is why this fucking game is dog shit and giga toxic. This is why anytime I play Dead by Daylight on stream, I have to get like so out of my mind that I don't pay attention to like half the chat. So I don't even see when people are being toxic to me. Or I, you know, ban people like a hawk. And, you know, I have like 10 extra people come in every hour. And then like it's almost assured that 9 of them are just going to try to like say some kind of like gamer moment comment towards me. And I have to just fucking ban them before they can say something stupid. I mean, this is like one of the few games that I've actually had to do this with. It's crazy. And this is why. The devs are toxic as fuck. Yeah, I never knew this tactical. I honestly never knew about the devs being this toxic.
Should I be saying that?
I thought they were
Yeah,
inept.
just play that. No, Bjorn is telling me I shouldn't be saying that. Okay.
What the fuck, man? Yeah, I kind of felt bad for him when he was in, what was it, Korea or whatever. And he was like, you know, getting manipulated into playing something that was broken and being like shown up to be an idiot and like, you know, having to fix things. But now I don't feel so bad. Yeah, this fucker deserved it, like straight up. Anyways, guys, give this guy a like on the video. This was a really good video. I will definitely be posting this on the YouTube. So if you're watching this from YouTube, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. I am a layman. when it comes to Dead by Daylight. I've only played 50 hours, which is considerably less than most people who play Dead by Daylight. Most people who play Dead by Daylight know life for 2,000 hours, which is fine. I'm glad you enjoy your game. But this is, I guess, a differing perspective, so to speak. Differing perspective. We talk about these things often on Twitch. We do a lot of discussions, a lot of variety gameplay. I play every single type of game under the sun, and that very much includes lots and lots of horror. So welcome, welcome. And everyone in chat, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, and I'll link this video in chat. You guys can give it a like, and I hope you check out the video when I put it up on YouTube as well. Quick BRB, guys. I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to hit the bathroom, get some more water, and then we're going to start our next discussion. Don't worry, I planned a whole bunch of fun stuff for you guys tonight, so stick around. Quick BRB, guys. Quick BRB.